We ready? Have we got a call? Sorry, have we got a call? No decision making. Oh, good. Could you all please rise for the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr Basil Zemplis.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. That was an undignified entry, wasn't it? To the City of Perth July 2023 agenda briefing session. I'm going to formally declare the meeting open at exactly 5 p.m. I'll take this opportunity to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Whadjuk Noongar people of Western Australia. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging on behalf of all of us here. It's a privilege to be standing on Whadjuk Noongar land. And while we're all standing, CEO, could I ask you please to recite the prayer?
Almighty God, under whose providence we hold responsibility for this city, grant us wisdom to understand its present needs, foresight to anticipate its future growth, and grace to serve our fellow citizens with integrity and selfless devotion. And to thee be all blessing and glory forever. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated, everybody. And as always terrific to see so many members of our community at either our agenda briefing session or ordinary council meetings, or as last night was the case, a special council meeting for the delivery of our budget. And with some of the members of our community in the room, I will just acknowledge some of what was announced last night in just a moment. But first, the important items which I have to go through. Please note, everybody, that in accordance with Council Policy 1.4, this meeting is being live streamed and the recording will be made available on the City's website following the meeting. So we'll just go through our attendance now, and apologies or any leave of absence, and that is item 3. With us today, Deputy Lord Mayor Liam Gobbett, hello again. Councillor Di Bain, good evening. Councillor Clyde Bevan, rock solid and reliable. Councillor Catherine Leeser, ditto councillor. Now, Councillor Rebecca Gordon, Councillor Sandy Angie, and Councillor Brent Fleeton are apologies for this evening. Councillor Victor Coe, I believe, is endeavouring to get here, but may have been held up with some life-saving surgery, as is often the good doctor's way. In addition, I welcome the Chief Executive Officer, other officers, and any members of the public or media, either in attendance here today or watching online. No elected members are currently on an approved leave of absence, and I will remind councillors to please submit any applications for a leave of absence prior to next week's ordinary council meeting. I do have the opportunity at these sessions to make some brief announcements. We spent a good deal of last night on our budget, but can I just, for the benefit of those listening or those from our community in the room who have perhaps not had the opportunity to catch up with some of the literature that has circulated from the city and from individual councillors about our budget, highlights have included the lowest rate rise of all major Perth metropolitan councils. Again, that's 2 years in a row that the City of Perth has delivered the lowest rate rise for any major council in the metropolitan area. It continues with our $6.7 million commitment to free parking. Every bay in the city after 6 p.m. is free, and at selected car parks on weekends and on public holidays. We know that free parking makes a difference to attracting people into our city, and it's a commitment from all of us to continue with that initiative. We're also very pleased to be able to incorporate $3 million to market our city. We've heard from our community of the want and need to sell our city and to market our city as a destination. And in last night's budget, a $3 million commitment to do that. And of course, we know how important safer streets and community services are for our city, for our ratepayers, for our business owners and operators. And in last night's budget, a $17 million commitment for safer streets and community services. All up, our $300 commitment to deliver for today and invest in tomorrow. And it's a budget that I and my fellow councillors were very proud and pleased to support unanimously last night. And I thank everyone in the room for their ongoing support and commitment and contribution to our city. It's you that we do it for. Item 5 on the agenda is disclosures of interest. Now, CEO, I sort of gently turn your way and ask politely, have any disclosures been received?
Yes, Lord Mayor. The following interests have been disclosed. Councillor Diabane disclosed an impartiality interest in item 15.2, as these are fees invoiced by the city's acting legal counsel, who is the cousin of Councillor Bain's husband's son-in-law. The city has advised her to disclose this as an impartiality interest. Deputy Lord Mayor Liam Gobbett disclosed an impartiality interest in relation to item 12.1, as he attended the Business News Rise Business Awards as the city's representative.
Thank you. I hope you don't mind me saying, Councillor Bain. I see the Agnellos in the room, and obviously from a Greek family as well. You feel like you want one of our family trees out for that, don't you? Just plotting the course. Thank you for all of the disclosures, Councillor. They're greatly appreciated and indeed are required, as we know. 6.1 is public questions. And public question time will be held at the ordinary council meeting next week. 6.2 is deputations, and CEO, we do have some deputations tonight.
Yes, Lord Mayor, we have received 5 deputations relating to item 12.1, Business Improvement Grant Program 2023-24.
Thank you, CEO. So please be reminded, everybody, that there is a 5-minute limit for deputations. I noticed that there are some of you who I think might be attending the podium or coming forward together. So if you are coming together to the podium to give your deputation, that's 5 minutes for you collectively. If you're coming up individually, that's a different story. And at the conclusion, I'll ask you just to remain in case any councillors have any questions for you. Please keep to the 5 minutes. I will remind you when we're close to the 5 minutes. There's no need to use all of the 5 minutes. And when you come forward, can I ask you to state your name and your address? So firstly, I'm going to invite Mr. Nick Mondia and Mr. Nunzio Mondia, representing Centre Stage Promotions Proprietary Limited, who are speaking against the recommendation in item 12.1, to please come forward. Thanks, gentlemen.
Great. Thank you, Lord Mayor. And hello to all councillors. Good to see a couple of familiar faces there. My name is Nunzio Mondia, and this is my brother Nick. And we're here, not in representation of Centre Stage. Centre Stage is part of this number 70 Aberdeen Street that we're all together. And we've had in our portfolio for many years, 20 years. Just a brief history on us. We've grown up in the area. We're really Perth, like the Greeks, the Italians. We've been here forever. So we've seen lots of changes in the area, and we're passionate about seeing change. Centre Stage is currently in the Vincent side, although it's Perth 6000. We put together more recently, just a bit of history, Centre Stage Recording Studios, which is doing incredibly well. So you're all welcome to come and visit it. It's not an advert, it's just giving you a bit of background, because it's a great example of true activation. And true activation which requires social media as well as a whole lot of other steps and repetition. Repetition being our friend, is small little steps. So now going back to the actual question here, the business improvement grant that was declined. It's not something that we've just come up now recently. Again, it's been done in many stages. We put together the 67 and 70 Aberdeen Street many years ago and dealt with EPRA at the time, which are now, as you know, MRA. And it was all after that post-tunnel event, which absolutely destroyed a lot of businesses. So we came in, we thought, right, there's no one here. What do we do? It was like a desert around there, and all the businesses died, including the Aberdeen Hotel, which has been an institution, across the road. I mean, you name it, it just all went down. Nick and I, in sharp contrast to that, decided to take these properties and do something with it. And we invested our own time and money and came up with this idea of facing these little shops into this walkway, which, if you look at the history, that little laneway used to be the best looking heritage property. And when EPRA came through, they just went whack and they whacked it down. And it became a very dark, dingy lane. So what we did, we created these shops, we developed that area, and with the support of the City of Perth, which was fantastic at the time, we activated the laneway. We called it the Lion Walk. We thought, here we go, we've got great activation here, we've got a landmark, let's make it safer. So we did that, we had some artwork on the Aberdeen, we paved it, and it all worked, and it came up really well. And then again, we started getting some traction, businesses came into the area. This is what we want foot traffic. But we weren't really consulted in the processes. And if you look at the studio, you'll see what I mean about we have knowledge, background on build and aesthetics. And we said, look, the most important thing is shelter. We need to have shelter here so that we don't make these businesses seasonal. And this is what happened. And we lost business after business. If you're all familiar with Varsity, Varsity began with us. And then because of the seasonal nature out the front in that walkway, they decided to leave, pack up and go up the road. And then we had some others, Mamuchi, and they've gone to Vic Park, they've taken off. And that was an incredible business because where are these people coming from? Social media was dragging them in. Exactly the same thing. Oh, winter's coming, we have no shelter. Summer's coming, it's too hot. The trees are ineffective, they don't provide shade. So our idea was, look, as much as we have economic times, as we all know, it's pressurising everyone. Nick and I, we decided that we were happy to contribute an equal amount to the city. So if there's 25,000, we'd match that to make sure that we create an amazing thoroughfare, which is much needed. And it shouldn't be forgotten that area, because it's a northern corridor which is really important, because it's coming in from Northbridge. You've got ECU that's been built. You've got the car park at the back car park. We've got a car park that has been built not to its fullest potential yet. When they first built it, they went up a couple of stories, but potentially they can go further up. But if we can create that little thoroughfare and put some lights, get the shelter there, you'll find that it'll be used more, and you'll bring more people in from that Northbridge area, from that northern corridor, and I'm sure at some point, you know, all the cars across the road on Newcastle Street, that will transform. So it's very important to have a second area, not just William Street, not just the Asian Chinatown, which is also important. Yeah. So for us, we're just coming up and saying, look, please reconsider it. It's not something we've just asked for. It's been 20 years. And from our experience, our evaluation and our experience and expertise, we can see that that would really improve for everyone. We're putting in the money, not the others, but we still have the Aberdeen. We've got across the road. We've got everyone that will benefit from it, not just us. You've got the tape up the road. So please consider it. That's our message. Did you want to say anything?
Was there something you wanted to add? Yeah, sure, go on.
He's an accountant.
Yeah, you can take longer then.
I am an accountant. I work up the road too. I live on Lake Street.
Yeah.
So basically what...
Hey there, Nunzio, we might have some questions. Sure.
So what Nunzio was saying in regards to the Lion Walk, we, with the City of Perth, established the name the Lion Walk. No one would probably know where the Lion Walk is. True. It's right near the Aberdeen. So what we want to establish is a landmark there, okay? We have the best vegan shop in Perth called Flora and Fauna there, and it's very hard to keep big businesses like that without having shelter. Shelter meaning... those umbrellas, and on those umbrellas we want to create a brand, and on those umbrellas we want to put the name of what it is, the Lion Walk, so people come from everywhere, because Northbridge hosts a lot of backpackers and people from overseas. They'll come there and they'll know that if you go to the Lion Walk you can get nice food, there's vegan food, there's all sorts of different food, and we want to create it to be an institution, so it's another landmark where people know that this is the Lion Walk is there, and it's an eatery. So that's what we want to do. But we can't do it without retaining good tenants, which we keep losing, and without, you know, having to protection from the weather.
So, Nick and Nunzio, you've asked for $25,000. Is that correct? That's the grant that you put in for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was to cover the fixed umbrellas and the lighting.
And lighting, improve the lighting,
enhancement,
yeah.
And so you feel that you'd be able to bring that area, just near Zempler Street, by the way.
We know exactly where it is, and we do know Uncle Con and our dad used to be really good
Correct.
friends.
Lake Street, the glory days.
Yeah,
We
that
lost our
was-
house for the tunnel, by the way. So the
We
tunnel-
know that. We know that.
I
And
know.
now there's the Greek platea there, which there's no
Correct.
shade and no one uses it.
Do I have to declare it interest now, Michelle? So, gentlemen, what you're saying is with this assistance, you'd be able to make this that featured precinct that you're describing.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's it from me. Are there any further questions from any councillors? But I think we're understanding what you're saying, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you,
DLM.
Lord Mayor. Thank you, Nuncio. Just trying to understand if there's been anything controversial about your application, and was there anything raised by our administrative team about what specifically you had proposed? For context, I think you just clarified it for me, but the branded umbrellas or architectural umbrellas, that's not like Lion Walk sponsored by Tui's or something. It's Lion Walk as
No,
Lion
so-
Walk. That's the
No,
brand.
in actual fact, my initial thought was it was a great promo for the City of Perth as well, to show that it hasn't forgotten that northern corridor, right on the boundary of Vincent and the City of Perth. And you can have the branding like the Lion Walk has already with the City of Perth emblem. And to me, when you have that emblem around the place, it actually subconsciously it just gives people the impression that this is a safe place.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't have that.
Just the button on the right.
Just turn that mic on. Thank you. There's a button there.
Musa, how do I? Oh,
There we
there we
go.
go. So what it also creates is it creates a place where it doesn't matter who's there, which shop is there. With there's 4 shops facing it plus a hairdresser upstairs, it will always have someone there because it's an institution. It's a place where, okay, well, if someone wants to leave there, well, then someone else will jump in because this is the Lion Walk and it's a well-known place. So that's what it will
no
create.
negative.
No,
No negative feedback.
No
It's
negatives,
just
all
that it was a
positive.
competitive process.
And
is
the
that-
big one, if I can just have one last thing, daytime activation.
Oh, yeah. Daytime economy.
And night too.
And well,
Councillor Bevan.
Thank you for coming in, gentlemen. It's great to see such obvious passion for what you want to do. Can you tell me what the total cost was, please, for both the lights and the
Well, yeah,
umbrellas?
So the total cost for the lights and the umbrellas was just over 50,000.
Okay, and the upkeep of the umbrellas and the lights?
That's our responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Bain.
Thank you. If I can also say thank you for coming in tonight. I think it's a fantastic idea. And
Thank you.
I just wondered, can you clarify with the lighting? Is it aesthetic lighting? Like, is it going to be fairy lights or?
yes.
Okay.
So if you can imagine someone wanting to take some pictures around the city, it's a perfect
Instagrammable
opportunity.
lights.
It's a perfect opportunity, and this is what's happened to some of the businesses coming in when they've created a wall with a little bit of light in, and of course back then we spent 30,000. Not we. The city dedicated 30,000 for that artwork from this famous artist from Melbourne. So people come along, they take photos on the wall. So when you put a business in there that has this kind of traction on social media, you get people coming from everywhere. It's just an easy strategy for foot traffic.
Yeah.
So why not embrace it? If we let this go, possibly in another year's time, we may not have 25,000 to dedicate to this, or we might, do something else. I mean, this is the time. We've spoken about it. We too have offices that are not leased and in the area, but we're still happy to help and do things, but we need your support, really.
That was going to be my other question, Lord Mayor, if I may.
Absolutely.
You won't go ahead with the plan if you don't get the 25,000.
No,
Okay.
because you see, to make it fair for everyone along that walkway, you really need to do it properly, do the whole lot or nothing. And it's an expensive process because it's about 25 to 30 metres of, thoroughfare. So if we put 1 or 2 up, because that's what we can afford, or only half of the project up, the others would complain and we couldn't have that, and it wouldn't look right. I'd rather do things properly rather than half measures. So.
Gentlemen, you've delivered the message well. Thank you. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it very much. And certainly got the message loud and clear, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you both, and thanks for your contribution to the city and in particular Northbridge. I'm going to move to Mr. George Koukoulis and Mr. John Parker, representing the Standard, who are speaking for the recommendation in item 12.1 to please come forward. Gentlemen, if I can ask you to give us your name and address, and as per the gents just prior, a cumulative 5 minutes.
Ready to go?
Welcome.
Good evening, Lord Mayor and Councillors. My name is George Koukoulis, representing the Standard Perth, 28 Rose Street in Northbridge. We'd like to thank you for the approval for the Business Improvement Grant, and what we have planned to do is to put an outdoor dining area on Rose Street facing the city. The Standard, John and I established the Standard back in 2014. And we've been through some interesting times as also a director of Koukoulis Brothers, which is possibly the oldest rate-paying company in Northbridge, I would say, maybe in Perth. We've been in William Street since 1929. I feel like I have the ability to be a bit of a spokesperson for the precinct. We've been through quite a lot, in particular with COVID, and I'd like to thank everyone in the council for doing all the hard work in bringing the vibrancy back to the city. I think we're doing really well. I feel that Northbridge is a little bit secular to this, and I think what we're planning to do with this outdoor dining area is bring a bit of streetscape back to the precinct. Facing ECU, I think it's quite important that there is a bit of an aesthetic there, so people are attracted to Northbridge, because I think we sort of need to pick things up a little bit. John is going to give you a little bit more of an insight into the actual structure, so I'll just pass you on to him. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Evening, everyone. Thanks, George. I think you've covered most things. Just when started with the design and thought process through the application, just to give you a bit of background, we took a lot of consideration into design and the layout of the space, taken a lot of sympathy from the existing building. You do see a lot of outdoor areas in other towns or cities around where, they're pretty simple structures. I believe all of you would have seen our intention, which is quite involved. We've engaged local architects, MJA, to be involved with that process. For us, we're also looking at leveraging on the great work that's been done with the Rose Street enhancement and just creating a real vibrancy and a frontage for our venue, which in the past we've sort of really struggled with Rose Street, with most people walking through, a lot of people walking through Yagan Square, heading straight across and heading up William Street. So hopefully this will also attract a few people to potentially turn left with that outdoor presence, I suppose. And that was sort of leading us into summer, where probably for the first time in a while we'd be looking at activating lunchtimes during the week at the Standard, which would be a new thing,
Right.
which is a bit of a coup for Northbridge. As it, traditionally it's seen as an evening precinct, so we'd like to really look at the lunchtime trade as well.
John, thank you. George, stay there if you will for just a moment. Firstly, can I say on behalf of all of us, we know how difficult the Rose Street enhancement has been for everybody, including us, and we know, John, and we've shared frustrations over the various progress delays that have not been because of the city's doing, but a whole set of circumstances that thankfully we can now say we have put behind us. And to the General Manager, Alan Mason, who has ensured that all of the parts of that redevelopment that we have been responsible for have moved as quickly and as orderly as possible. We've all known the frustrations with it. And thankfully, we are now moving forward together. And also, can I say, to hear you say that the plan is now to activate the space outside, to bring al fresco dining or more outdoor use of that space is really pleasing, because I think that one of the reasons why a significant amount of money was put aside by previous administrations for the Rose Street redevelopment as part of the city deal was to enliven that area, and we're all well aware of what the university is doing and coming and the impact that we hope it will have. So it's terrific to hear that. And obviously, George, to you and your family for your very considerable contribution to the area. We're very grateful. I better say as well, we had a great launch to Plateful Perth at the Royal on Saturday night. So thank you, John, to you and your team for hosting us. I think we're all really pleased to hear what you've got planned. We're delighted that we are able to assist. I think we're getting a bit of a thread through the various deputations that are coming that people are trying to do things in our community. And if we had an endless bucket of money, I think we'd like to be able to help everybody to the same level. We don't have an endless bucket of money, but as I look through some of the grants that people have been recipients for, I think, and it's something that we can discuss with councillors and with the administration, it seems to me as though there might be an opportunity to streamline our process or better enhance the effectiveness of our overall grants program. But that's something that we will reserve comment and judgment on until we've heard from everybody and, of course, had the opportunity to discuss it as a council with the administration. But can I thank you both for what you're doing to the area and doing in the area? And we're all very confident that we're going to see the results that we've all hoped for, albeit it's taken us some time to get to this point. Did any councillors have anything for John or George? Yes, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just really briefly, so you've obviously read the report recommending the amount that you requested we approve. You're not seeking any alterations to that. You're happy with the recommendation as it's been presented?
Yes.
Councillor Bain? Councillor Bain, then Councillor Bevan. Alphabetically order.
We can do it together.
Alphabetical order.
We'll both do it together. Thank you very much for coming down tonight. I love your venues. I always have. I'm regularly at the Royal having an Aperol Spritz. A question, what was the project's total cost?
It was when we did it 6 months ago, it was about 75,000.
Okay, so if we didn't have a cap of $25,000 on our grants, you would have asked for more?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's quite a considered, architect fees alone with a fair amount, and we're using, as you've probably seen with the design, we're using glass blocks, steel. There's quite a bit of landscaping involved as well.
And you're asking for cash, not in kind?
In cash,
Cash grant, cash
Correct.
money, not
Yeah.
in kind, not the
No.
city offsetting
No,
costs.
cash. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem.
And Councillor Bevan.
Thank you. Thanks once again for coming down. You have a liquor licence. Will that be apply to the footpath as well?
Yes.
Well, I've just been looking at the food on the internet. It looks great.
Will you be able to dine outside on Rose Street shortly, hopefully? By spring, there's the plan. Be good.
Gents, thank you. Just before you go, George, I was an altar boy at St Constantine and Helene's Cathedral in Parker Street in Northbridge with a George Kakoulis. He was a few years older than me. You're not related to him by any chance, are you?
We're the same age?
No, he was a bit older than me. Yeah, okay. Maybe a relative. Thanks for being here, gents. Thanks for your huge contribution. We appreciate it. We're going to move to our next deputation, which is from Christopher Patton, representing Alibi and Butterfly 73, speaking for the recommendation in 12.1. Chris, hi.
Hello, Lord Mayor, council members and guests. My name is Christopher Patton and I'm the Managing Director of Butterfly 73 and the soon-to-open cocktail bar Alibi. I wanted to speak today to not only provide a comprehensive insight into our business, but also the opportunity for you to seek clarification regarding our proposed works. First and foremost, I express my gratitude for the recommendations to sponsor Alibi. This signifies our shared vision and understanding of the project and how iconic the building at 149 James Street is. Positioned directly opposite the piazza, this location serves as the epicentre of our nightlife, not only for the local community, but also for tourists. As a passionate business owner who has been actively involved in Northbridge for the past 5 years, nothing distresses me more than witnessing antisocial behaviour being broadcasted weekly in the media. If you notice, this footage is mostly filmed on the corner of Lake and James Street, with the building 149 casting a dark shadow in the background. In fact, even if you look on Google Maps, you'll see someone sleeping in the doorway. With your assistance, we can illuminate this facade and restore the building back to its former glory. It is a well-established fact that the presence of crowd controllers, adequate lighting, and CCTV serves as a deterrent for antisocial behaviour. Moreover, we firmly believe in enforcing a strict dress code, which will contribute to elevating the overall elevation of the area. While I'm appreciative of Alibi's favourable evaluation by the judging panel, I do find myself somewhat confused by Butterfly's comparatively lower ranking. Butterfly 73 is a prominent establishment in Northbridge, and I question whether I adequately conveyed its significance in my application. It has been suggested that operating for 3 days a week is a disadvantage compared to businesses that operate over 5 or 7 days of trading. However, please allow me to provide some context. Last weekend, we experienced a typical weekend without any special performances or noteworthy events. On Thursday, we welcomed 756 patrons. On Friday, it was 866 patrons. And on Saturday, we welcomed 1,207 patrons. This amounted to the grand total of 2,830 people throughout the weekend. On top of this, we also have a minimum of 35 staff working each night. It is important to note these figures are not inflated. They're obtained from our Scantech machines. However, it's also essential to highlight this particular weekend, we did not experience any wet weather. Currently, our venue is equipped only with a small awning that can cover about 30 people. During the rainy weekends, this attendance can be halved. The primary objective of the grant money was not only to illuminate the building with colourful in-wall LED lights, but also to provide a large awning assuring potential patrons can come out without getting wet. Furthermore, Butterfly closes at 2 a.m, resulting in over 100,000 people exiting the venue annually seeking late-night dining, other nightclubs, karaoke, or neighbouring establishments. The proposed enhancements, with an estimated cost exceeding $90,000, represent a substantial investment. We firmly believe that the $25,000 investment from the City of Perth will yield a significant return. I challenge you to find another building, neighbouring business in the city capable of attracting such a considerable number of people to the city. I would also like to mention on Saturday nights, we do not allow walk-ins. It's a registered guest list only. That means 1,207 people on Saturday registered, and they are coming in just for what we're offering. It's not walk-in traffic. In conclusion, I strongly advocate for the City of Perth to consider their sponsorship for both Butterfly and Alibi. In an intensely competitive retail market, bars, restaurants and nightclubs will serve as the catalyst to draw people into the city. Let the shopping precincts compete amongst themselves, while collectively we create an entertainment precinct that is world-class, pulsating with energy, and known for its safety and amusement. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Points well made. Are there any questions from any of our councillors? Councillor Leeser.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Thank you so much. I just had a quick question about the Alibi cocktail one.
Sure.
How much is the total cost?
The total cost was about $52,000.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord
Were you
Mayor.
one of those people who pre-registered to go out of interest?
No.
We cater for all ages, so you're always welcome.
Liam, it's sneaky, and he looks 18.
Thank you. Similar question to the previous gentleman. Was there any negative feedback given by the officers in the assessment stage, or was it purely because the competitive nature of it?
Regarding Butterfly, or?
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in Butterfly, and our admin have just let me know it's, I believe it's Q. Yeah, Butterfly 73. Yep.
Yeah, so the real only feedback I got was that the 3-day trading as opposed to businesses that trade more. And that's why today I wanted to highlight the fact that the number of people we're pulling in, without bragging, is probably the most, I would say, in Northbridge in that area.
Thank you.
And thank you. Well done.
No,
and,
thank you.
Congrats, and thanks for what you're doing for the area. It's terrific. It's terrific to see all of the things that are happening in our city, and the confidence that is returning, which is wonderful post-COVID. It's been our pleasure to support as many businesses as we can. And I say that to inviting Mr. Frank Agnello, who we know well from Espresso and Prosecco, who's also doing wonderful things in our city. Frank is here to speak against the recommendation in item 12.1, this same item. Frank, same deal, 5 minutes. And if you can state your name and address, thank you.
Good evening, Lord Mayor, councillors and officers. I'm here to speak in regards to our application for more alfresco area, access from the Hay Street Mall. I presume that most people have seen Express and Prosecco next to London Court as a building. We took 3 years to renovate the building, considerable resources. We took a very high risk during COVID to proceed with the building. At the end of it, we've ended up with an incredible building, incredible trade. There's people in Hay Street Mall now, and we'd like to expand on what we're doing now. Now, 4 doors away from us, we have a laneway. Now, can I pass around some images?
Certainly. Thank you. We're a very visual council.
I'm still old school. Now, this laneway, which is in a prime location between JD's and Bras and things on Hay Street Mall, is basically the City of Perth's public toilets at night. Now, we're out there every morning with a hosing the area away because of smells and undesirable things left behind. Now, we have an opportunity that I don't think was fully recognised in our application. Maybe we didn't do it right. The laneway is a private laneway of the Hay Street Mall that goes around behind the 5 buildings that we're adjoining up to Lane Court. Adjoining this laneway, there was a derelict, what we call the slab, a concrete slab, which is a rooftop for the undercroft parking of 66 St George's Terrace. This area is about 450 square metres, plus the laneway areas of about another 176 square metres. There's actually 500 and odd square metres of private owned space. Now, I know council was looking at this many years ago to be able to do something with this space because it's very unique to have that sort of area anywhere in the city, never mind in a prime location as the Hay Street Mall. We were fortunate enough, and the owners of 66 were very cooperative. They gave us a lease for that area, subject to us improving the area and making it more desirable to get rid of all the undesirables that were climbing their fences, going to the back of their properties at night and leaving all their rubbish behind. Our application, I see that it was noted as we're only proposing a beer garden. Now, I think that's the wrong description. We don't specialise in beer. We're not a pub. We're an Express and Prosecco, as Prosecco is Italian drink for spritzers and imperatives and everything else. We also cater for kids from gelato all the way through to focaccias and Italian meals. Now, our al fresco out the front, unfortunately due to traffic concerns, is very limited. We can only sit maximum 45 people, very congested in that area. So there's an opportunity which fits in with our total plans to activate this area at the back of our premises, which is accessed through Express and Prosecco to the laneway. And you go turn right, and you turn right again, and you come out on Hay Street Mall. Now, what we're proposing, this is stage 1 of the bigger grand plan for this slab area at the back. We want to create a piazza there, not just an ordinary alfresco area. The piazza would include a stage, so we like to have live performances during the day and even at night time. We also have, for those unfamiliar with the building, an incredible 2-storey rooftop. Our intention for that, to activate that area, has always been to come through that laneway up the Hay Street Mall and come round the back, and typical Melbourne style, you go up the lift or there's stairs there to get to the rooftop. So it's imperative that we improve that laneway and create this alfresco area at the back. Now, unfortunately, the bank has said enough is enough. You've spent enough money on the building. It's a huge investment and risk that we took, but now to improve our business, we need to upgrade that laneway and we need to have additional alfresco areas at the back. Now, if Giuseppe could pass that around, this shows the actual slab at the back and the way it's being used at the moment. The rooftop areas, the reason why we haven't activated them is because the downstairs is basically an Italian trattoria for the daytime business, the rooftop is a different clientele, and we can't have the downstairs can't have the downstairs open at night time because of liquor license and all the other issues, because you're having kids coming in. So we need to access, and the design allowed for this, the rooftop through that laneway on Hay Street Mall and through to the back. Now, this application, to do only part of it, is a total cost of $79,000. We noticed we've got nil application for it on that. We're asking for the full 25 grand to allow us to proceed, and we'll be paying the balance. And of course, as we expand onto the slab area and enhance the actual look of the slab, then that will entail further investments from us. But to allow us to go forward on this, we ask the council to reconsider the proposal, including the overall picture and not just a little beer garden at the back of our premises.
Frank, thank you. Giuseppe, thank you. Just before perhaps some more questions, and noting that we've also got Ed and Carolyn to come forward on this same item, I wonder if on behalf of elected members, CEO, I might just be able to direct some attention and some questions to our administration. So I think what we're hearing here is a pattern of people in our community, our business owners and operators who we value so much, trying to do things in our city, exactly what we want, an activated city, improving our city and all of those things. And it's great that some have been able to receive support from us, and we note that some have been unsuccessful. So can I ask the administration, is the reason that A through to F have been approved here is because we have reached the financial limit? Is that what the reason? Because I note that the Deputy Lord Mayor, in asking one of the questions earlier, was there were no reasons given, unfavourable reasons, but it was a no. Am I right to assume on behalf of elected members we were saying no because we'd reached our financial limit?
That's correct, Lord Mayor. The grant actually has a total of 150,000 and the ceiling of 25,000 per grant application means there's a limit to how many can be approved.
Right, and I think we're talking here business improvement grant, which has a total budget of $150,000. But we also have a strategic city enhancement grant, which centres on lighting in particular. That's for $100,000, correct? Is that correct? There's a figure there.
That's actually a proposed.
Seeing a lot of nods from over there, so that's a good sign.
It's a new grant opportunity that's coming forward.
Okay. Small business grant, $50,000.
Correct.
And I know that in our budget, $450,000 in, I think, the tech grants. Is that correct?
Tech Action Plan,
Yeah.
we've identified a number of grant opportunities which are being further examined at the request of council.
Okay, so without wishing to speak for all of the elected members, but sort of sensing a vibe in the room tonight, we've got some popular grants that are being used or at least applied for in exactly the way that we would have hoped for our business owners and operators to enhance our city. Might it be timely, and elected members looking sort of for some indication that you're with me on this, might it be timely for us to review all of our grants, the entire grants program, discuss it with councillors, and look to what our priorities might be, and then align our grants, or perhaps bring the buckets all together, because we're seeing tonight a number of what appear to be very worthy grants denied only for what appears to be the fact that we've reached our limit. Have I got that right?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I think it's fair to say, and to your point, yes, there are extremely worthy applications, and I think the scores that were undertaken by the selection panel indicate that as well, and all well considered. So I think from an administration's perspective, we're very supportive and would like to give everyone opportunities to help our city shine. I think there is an opportunity, to your request, to really look at our business improvement, our economic development grants and other, to really see if we are lining up with council's priorities around livability, sustainability and prosperity, and focus our efforts in ensuring that we do support that. So I think if we were able to take some time to really reflect on where opportunities might present to consolidate, realign and reconsider some of the grants programs, which might enable then the funding of, as you mentioned, these worthy opportunities.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Councillor Bain, you've declared an interest, but we're non-decision making here, so So Councillor Bain is welcome, but if you need to leave, then we understand also. So if that's the case, understood.
Isn't that the advice that Wolga gave us?
Yeah, it's the advice that the city's giving us. I'll go with the city, hey?
Okay, I'll go with you, Charlie.
Yeah, let's go with that. Elected members, are there any questions for the administration first on the points that I've just raised? Is there anything that anybody might...
Didn't we just approve our budget yesterday?
Yes, the budget has been approved, so I'm not suggesting that we're finding new money that doesn't exist, but what I am suggesting is there might be an opportunity to realign these various buckets because one has quickly been exhausted, others don't appear to have been as popular on the early indications, and I'm wondering whether there's not some opportunity to realign our thinking.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, I believe there is. That recently council have increased, I think, potential grants by 3 plus an additional 2. So that's an increase in very sort of related grants by 5. So I think what we're seeing is really trying to stretch the contributions and maybe as a consequence, not as focused. There's also an opportunity. Sometimes grants programs grow up over time. There's not the opportunity to reflect back and look at are the previous grants still current and relevant to a contemporary city. So I think always opportunity to review, realign and reposition, and where possible really support valuable initiatives is paramount.
And might that mean if that body of work was done, that those who have been declined, some of whom are here, but others who are listed in our notes here, might have the opportunity then to reapply?
If I could request that maybe between now and the ordinary council meeting, we as an administration look to what options might be available, whether it be, I mean, there's a fairly significant amount of money if everyone was to receive the amounts, but maybe there is some other solutions, which I think if we were afforded, at least in the first instance, until the next council meeting, and then if we need to, beyond that.
Okay.
But we recognise this is a good opportunity.
All right, that's excellent. Was there any questions for Frank and Giuseppe?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Bevan.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Firstly, congratulations on your establishment. It's a high-quality venue. Can I just ask, how many extra patrons do you think you'd attract to that area?
At the moment, particularly on weekends and on nice sunny days, we would attract to the back area probably about 80, 90 people, but it's not the most impressive area at the moment.
No.
To landscape it and to have access on the laneway, our total capacity there currently would be probably about 150, 180. Because being a very narrow building, we only have internal seating capacity of about 25 people on stools. So it's actually we can't provide chair seating inside because it restricts the access way to the back. By having the laneway and having that as an access, it's all level and people can then enter through one or exit through the other and vice versa. So that to the growth of our business, that's huge because we have spoken to council about increasing the alfresco area at the front, but it was actually reduced because of vehicle traffic movements, in particular emergency services. So we can't do much more in the alfresco area at the front. We can't sit many more people inside, so now our business is actually restricted by not having this laneway access.
Thank you. You do it so well, I'd like to see another 2 or 3 cafes or restaurants in the area just like yours, because I think it would make it pretty special.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I ask how long you've been in the industry?
We've been in the city of Perth now 38 years.
Okay.
We were originally Bocelli's in Forest Place. I've retired, my brother's virtually retired, and my 3 kids are now taken over the business hospitality. So we've been involved in the city 38 and in hospitality since 1979.
Well done. Thank you.
So we do wish to activate this rooftop area, and it's vital that we have the opportunity to access it through the laneways. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything further from any councillors? Can I just echo Councillor Bevan's comments? We're all greatly appreciative and supportive of the huge contribution the Agnello family has made to our city, initially at Forest Place, now on the corner opposite JP's and the Royal, and clearly with Espresso and Prosecco in the Hay Street Mall. It's made a profound difference. And as Councillor Bevan has said, we're very hopeful that you've shown the way and shown that it can be done and that others will soon open up. So thank you. And as you can hear, there's a spirit of intent from us to take this away, to hear what we've heard tonight, to see what we can do to be able to greater assist the businesses that clearly help our city. So thank you for being here and representing your case and representing your business in
I'd
particular.
like to thank the Mayor and the councillors and administration to take it further and have at least have a discussion on where the city is going, and possibly something could happen in the future.
Terrific.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Frank, and thank you also, Giuseppe. And can I invite Ed Nyland and Carolyn Lawler, representing, is it UV Pure? I got that right.
We're the consultants for
Right.
Prime.
And Prime Private. Welcome. And I think also speaking against 12.1, we've probably, as you can see, got the spirit of things, and I think you can see where we're heading. But nonetheless, more than happy to hear from both of you.
Okay. Good
Just
evening,
names and
Lord Mayor.
addresses, if you could. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Councillors. Yes, I'm Carolyn from Prime Private, and I'm representing the three founding directors of Prime West. They're major property investors and developers in Perth. One of our properties, One Forest Place, the old Commonwealth Bank building, we've spent a significant amount of money already lighting it up. We appointed Ed from Phillips to assist us with that. What the vision is of our directors was, again, to create a destination for people to come into the city and spend money and, just do the Instagram, do the social media, and really just... Yes, yeah, and I'll introduce Ed because he's a specialist.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. And Caroline's actually got some posters here that we can also show you. So UV Pure is a partner for Philips, company in the world. Most of you will know the lighting on the London bridges, on the Empire State Building, in the Bund in Shanghai. That's all Philips stuff. If you want to come a little bit closer to home, Optus Stadium is Philips lighting, colour kinetics. The Madagascar Bridge is Philips lighting, colour kinetics. So our business started mainly with infectious disease control, pharmaceuticals, hospitals, clinics, but we also do lighting. And then we started doing the colour kinetics by question of Philips, who asked us to do that because that's what our teams do. Obviously, Prime Private and Centuria are major owners and developers, and they're always at the forefront of activating their buildings. They spend a lot of money. I think combined they own 15 of the towers in the terrace, plus the Prime Private assets, which are multiple as well. Their vision, their brief to us was for public engagement to bring people into the city, and that was solely around the economic wheel. If traffic comes into the city, they spend money. The retailer makes that money, he pays the rent. When the rent gets paid to the landlord, he pays the rates and taxes. Rates and taxes come to you guys and you improve the city, so hence the economic wheel. Caroline's just holding up here, we want to turn the CBD into a destination. We're talking tonight about the Commonwealth Bank, which if any of you have been out at night, has been lit up for several months now. It allows visitors to interact differently with light, to create memories and share experiences to the world via social media, which we'll show you in a second. So it's about delivering that memorable interactive experience, a reason to visit. It increases ROI, return on investment, through increased visitor numbers, because we know Philips can give you hundreds of case studies around the world on the stuff we do where the economic reports show massive returns. It links sites and key precincts. So the key is it's 365 days a year and it's driven by new technology, which is social impact, public engagement using what is normal handheld phones. So what we would ask is that you reconsider the centrepiece, which is the Commonwealth Bank, which obviously is Forest Place. It's heritage architecture, which suits what Philips do. Between that and the post office, it's the centrepiece of the malls that are the entry from the railway station in our city into the CBD. It's a popular site already for activation and for tourism. And what we would say is it's enhancing the city's heritage as well as connecting and interacting with light. The next one here, these are really quick, the next couple is, public engagement. It's all done on a platform. It's as simple as you find your city when you download the Philips app, you reserve your time, which is a 5-minute slot, you control the lighting, which is all pre-programmed by the client, so they can't muck around with it. They pick their colours and they change the colours and play lighting shows. They can share that with their network and hashtag it around the world, and that allows visitors to interact with light in our city. We call it the City of Light. We would like to see a little bit more light. Certainly in the Sea Restaurant, if you do the hour-and-a-half tour around, I can count the number on one hand. So lastly, the Philips Interact software is dynamic, and it's used, there's a new version coming out. It's to create active light shows where the public, tourists, visitors and locals can come in and engage. Vibrancy, energy, it's new, which was one of the criteria. It's not here already. It's a new experience for the public, which they don't currently have. It does grow traffic, proven internationally on any of the Philips case studies, and it brings spend. The studies have revealed that, and you can see what the Commonwealth Bank, she's an old girl, but she looks beautiful, and it's as simple as create the identity, attract the visitors, create the memories, and we call it place making. If we can make Perth the City of Light, it is place making, and Prime Private and Centuria have hit their vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. I think we're understanding of where you're coming from also. So we noticed, and you mentioned in there that you're asking us to reconsider on one in particular, and that was the Commonwealth Bank building.
Yes, we'll say, to be fair, and we've got great respect for all the others, I think you've already enlightened that the council can and will do more.
Yeah.
This is $25,000 on $146,000 spend for this one. We've priced nearly $1 million worth of work, which is 11 buildings for Centuria Prime Private along Queen Street and Murray Street right up towards Pirate Life. So if you've seen the Bund, if you've seen the bridges, the 7 bridges in London, we can do all sorts of fancy architecture.
They'll all light up.
They'll all light up. Yeah. They can sing, they can dance, they can do all sorts of flashy stuff.
Right.
And that brings people.
Sure. Can I just ask, CEO, what the ones that were approved as opposed to the ones that were not approved, was that simply on chronology of application, or was there any specific reasons for how the 6 that have been approved as opposed to those that haven't been approved, how that was made or done?
Lord Mayor, if I might direct the question to the General Manager Community Development, or if it is better answered by the General Manager Planning and Economic Development, they can talk to the specifics of this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you or to you, Lord Mayor, we can provide some additional info in the pack as to why these applications rated differently, but essentially they're in different locations and they'll have different impacts, and from my recollection, the applications were very similar and didn't nuance those different locations to the extent that we may have hoped.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councillors, any questions for our guests or for the administration? Councillor Bevan, have you got one? I just got your light on. Yeah, thank you. Councillors, anything? Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate, as with everybody in the room tonight, your efforts to enrich our city. So, CEO, can you, for my benefit, just give back to me again what you have taken away from this, and what these steps forward to what I was sort of seeking previously we might be able to undertake for some form of review or realignment or reconsideration of our buckets.
So I'm taking away that before the next ordinary council meeting, we look back on this paper with how some of the allocations have been made, and obviously there's a series that have made it to the top.
Yep.
And with the others, where there might be funding or alternatives to enable some or all, if not able to be achieved before next council meeting, then something we could bring back to another council meeting as soon as is possible. But I think the overall message I'm taking away is that we have some very positive opportunities here, and how is it that the city can fund them, some or all.
That we can help make them happen and help live up to our objective to be a city that is open for business and wants to help its ratepayers do business. Thank you for understanding that. Thank you to the administration for the work that they're going to do. And thank you to everybody here tonight for bringing your energy, your enthusiasm, your ideas to us. And please understand from us that we're now going to take that away and do what we can to repay the faith that you're showing in us. So thank you. If anybody needs to go or wishes to quietly excuse themselves, we will understand. But thank you all very much for being here. We're going to go now through items 7 to 10, which will all be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting next week. And we go to reports now. And as we move through the reports, I'll ask if any councillors have any questions relating to the items. 11 is Planning and Economic Development Alliance reports. 12 is Community Development Alliance reports, and I know I skipped ahead a little bit by inviting some questions for the administration, and typically would leave it until now. We had a question from you, Councillor Leeser, and a question from you, Councillor Bain, or a couple. You've declared impartiality, but of course non-decision making today. Deputy Lord Mayor, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I'm just saving this for this moment to ask the question, but if I could just get some advice or some input from the officers on the outcome of the intent for the business improvement grants and what the outcome for the lighting grants might be. The way that it reads to me in that context is that it's essentially achieving the same objective. And so is it just a bit of swings and roundabouts for us to make a budget adjustment to get the same outcome?
I might be able to answer this because I was just given something which talks to exactly what each of the grants are, what their priorities are. So under the business improvement grants, the summary is citywide capital works that are externally focused, including facade improvements, outdoor dining, security, CCTV, lighting. On the second one, which you've just asked about, Strategic City Enhancement Grant, which is lighting, which is a new grant program, citywide installation of new public-facing lighting enhancements that improve safety and amenity, increase visitation, or create a point of difference and can demonstrate sustainability. If I could also add, just as a further extension of where there is potentially duplication with other grants arrangements, under the small business grants, citywide establishing e-commerce capability, professional business services, activity to extend trading hours, minor capital works such as facade improvements, outdoor dining, internal shop fit-outs and security improvements. So to the point that was raised earlier, although one is a particularly small amount of grants monies, there does seem to be some overlap with existing grants.
Thank you, CEO. And so just to pose the question so I can hear the answer, it's really, is there any point in us making them go through a different grant process to get the same outcome? And is it a better outcome to save everyone's time and indeed the officers, the administrative staff's time in assessing another application to get the same outcome? Is it a relatively simple thing for us to do, to just potentially amend the recommendation to council?
I think it would be quite difficult to introduce a new grant because the applications that were placed were put under a business improvement grant with a certain criteria. The Strategic City Enhancement Grant lighting might be slightly different criteria again, so it's not comparable. I think what we're hearing though from the representatives today is that in one situation there are 7 applications, 7 different buildings, but there's probably one building from this grant pool that would, has a priority over others. So the others could well then go into the lighting grant one. However, again, to my point that I raised earlier, we've got small buckets of money for grants. So the question needs to be asked, is it that the city really, or council really want to be focused on lighting? So the proposed 100,000 for the lighting grants might not be enough, really, and we all do know how expensive fairy lights are. So, on that basis, this presents an opportunity for council to really finesse what is it you want to see happening in your city, and how can the grants and sponsorship arrangements support that?
Welcome to acknowledge Councillor Coe, who's been able to join us, and thank you, Councillor Coe, for joining us at your first opportunity. Yeah, I suppose the other thing we're hearing too, isn't it? So the representation that we had in the room today, they're all highly visible businesses on the street, and the Tech Action Plan, for example, grants, or the tech grants rather, although also very worthwhile. We don't necessarily see the impact of some of those on the street and the profound impact that they might have in changing the city. So that's why I think there's an opportunity for us to not try and find new money, but to realign buckets of money that exist and see if we can't help more people along the way. But your priorities, that's right. So anyway, thank you to the city for the admin for undertaking to do that body of work. That's going to be very useful for all of us. Is there anything else from any councillors? Thank you. So we'll go to 13 then, Infrastructure and Operation Alliance reports, none tonight. 14 is Community Services Alliance reports, none. 15 is Corporate Service reports, monthly financial statements, May 2023. Anything, councillors? No. Schedule of accounts paid May 23 is 15.2. Anything further from any councillors here? 15.3 is the quarterly business plan, quarterly progress report. Corporate business plan, quarterly progress report. Any follow-up, Councillor Leeser, or further questions from any councillors? No, thank you. 16 is the Chief Executive Officer reports, the City of Perth inquiry recommendations, quarterly progress, Q4 1 April 30 June 2023. Councillors, follow-ups or new questions? 17 is committee reports, none of those. 18 motions of which notice has been given. They'll be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting next week. And no matters for which the meeting may be closed, and urgent business will be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting next week. So having said all of that, and there being no further business, I'll declare the agenda briefing session closed at 6:07 p.m. and thank everybody for their attendance and contributions. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Please all rise for the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr. Basil Zemplis. Now,